Hello everybody and welcome to the final third, and today we're going to be doing a video about the Champions League race in the Premier League. Currently there are four teams in real contention for the Champions League race, them being Villa, who are currently third, Man United are fourth, Chelsea are fifth, and Liverpool are sixth. All very close to each other. I mean, Villa are 6 points clear of Chelsea and Liverpool, United are 3 points clear of Chelsea and Liverpool, and obviously if you do the math, United are 3 points behind Villa. Um, it's a very interesting top four race, to say the least. But there are a couple of things we might want to talk about each club and sort of their chances and what the likelihood of them actually qualifying for Champions League football, as it is probably a top five and not just a top four. So one of these teams, if it is these teams, will likely miss out. So before we get into the video, Al, do you want to reveal the player from the last one?
Yes, the player from the last video was Giovanni. So let us know if you've got that in the comments down below, and of course we'll do the new clip at the end of the video.
Perfect. I'll be honest, I haven't really been looking at the camera the whole time, my bad. So basically, let's jump straight into it. So let's look at the team in third, Aston Villa. Currently third place, 3 points clear of United, 6 points clear of Chelsea and Liverpool, and on 51 points, I believe. Now, realistically, this year hasn't been a very good year for Villa. They haven't really been that convincing in any of their games. Even in that massive winning run, they weren't very convincing. They're dropping a lot of points. And I even said earlier on in the year and even at the end of last year, being like, United and Chelsea and Liverpool start to build up a bit of consistency because they have the squads to do so. You can see Villa, the pressure starting to pile on. And could they bottle it the same they did last year?
Yeah, like you say, the form's definitely dropped in this year in 2026 for Villa. Definitely missed out on a couple of results. Even the last game they just played against Leeds, took a last-minute equaliser pretty much from Tammy Abraham to get anything out of that game. And yeah, they're just not playing as they were. To be honest, even like Callum says, even when they were, on that game-winning streak, like 10 wins in the Prem streak, there were always very close games, by that one goal or just like towards the end of the games and stuff. And and it usually came from individual brilliance from like Morgan Rogers usually. So they weren't that very convincing in those games. You could tell it just wasn't going to be sustainable. It's not that they weren't necessarily playing great. It's just it was never a sustainable, style of play that was going to be able to, carry on throughout the rest of the season. And they've obviously, starting to feel the effects of that, of it now, because they haven't got really probably as many points as they would hope recently. But look, the thing is with Villa though, they have a really, really good manager. My only thing with Villa, and the reason I think they're gonna struggle a bit now going towards the end of the season, is just because I don't think they did enough in January in terms of strengthening the squad.
Yeah.
We do know Villa have a lot of issues with PSR, and they're trying to avoid breaking PSR rules. So you can respect that, but unfortunately their depth is not as good as some of the other teams that are fighting for the Champions League spots. Possibly the word. To be honest, I think their squad is better than Chelsea's. I think their squad. In terms of squad,
Player for player.
I mean, yeah, maybe their first 11, but in terms of like their squad depth. Probably not.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's on the level of the other ones.
Yeah, but they do have a great team. So, but if they do suffer with a lot of injuries, then yeah, it's probably going to be very difficult for them to stay in the top five.
Yeah, I agree. I think Villa had a reliance, like, as you say, on Morgan Rogers, and he's still a great player and can pull out the hat from time to time. But again, he's not that player where you can fully rely on just yet. He's still young, still got time to become that player. But whether he stays at Villa, if they don't qualify for Champions League football next season, we'll have to wait and see. He's a great player, so I wouldn't be surprised if any of the big clubs are interested in him. Also, I think a major fact on why they are still in the top five is Emi Martinez. We'll discuss other goalkeepers probably in the later end of the video and how, obviously I'll probably have to mention it with Man United. The fact that when he obviously was waiting for that call for Man United, even on deadline day, and never got it. That type of move doesn't have an effect on a player. We've seen it sometimes with so many different players, have their sort of moves cancelled last minute. Like David De Gea when he was supposed to go to Real Madrid, But if anything, he locked in and became good. And it kind of the same with Martinez, put his head down,
He's very
and just
professional, to be
just
fair.
did his thing for Aston Villa, and is maybe even their best player this season. He's
Yeah,
been very very important, and
yeah.
maybe not world class, but at least top class, I would say, as a goalkeeper. So yeah, I rate their goalkeeper, and to be fair, the rest of the squad's quite good too. Maybe they have a couple of injuries here and there, but I don't see
Yeah.
them even being a bit sustainable now. I know they've got a 6 point gap on the other teams, and maybe even United might overtake them, which we will discuss in a second. But Villa have to watch their back because yeah, it is very dangerous, and you just never know in football.
Do you reckon they'll bottle the top five then? Or?
It's kind of difficult to say. I mean, Chelsea aren't playing very well.
Mm.
Um, I don't think Liverpool are either. I mean, United. I actually think United will probably overtake them and finish third. Just because, like I say, United are in good form. They've
Yeah,
in 7 games they've won six, and
yeah,
sorry, in 6 games they've won five and drawn one. That's a very good run of form. They've got players that are very important and are clutching up in big moments. And I don't see Villa really having that on a consistent basis.
yeah.
So I see them maybe finishing top five, but I wouldn't say top four, if that makes sense. So yeah.
Fair enough. Do you want to move on to
Yeah, let's
the
go on to the next
next
one.
team?
So the next team is the fourth place team, my team, Manchester United. Now we have the question on the iPad now, it's asking whether they are the favourites. There's a couple of reasons why I do believe they are the favourites. First and foremost, the other teams have Europe and Man United don't. And that
Yeah,
is a major, major thing. When obviously the pressure games are going to come. Villa want, to at least have sort of a backup. Maybe if they go win the Europa League, then that can give them Champions League football just in case there's a cover. And again wins them a trophy. And Chelsea and Liverpool, when you're in the Champions League, you got to try and be in it to win it. You know what I mean? Um, it depends on obviously who you're playing. It's a very interesting thing, if I'm honest with you. But United obviously don't have Europe, and gives them all the time to focus on. Obviously, and they're out of the cups too, so they don't have to worry about them either. So yeah, the full focus can be on. And honestly, the new signings, this depending on whether we finish in the top four. I know you know, to give it a 10 out of 10 transfer window, you probably want us to win the Premier League, which obviously we're not close enough to do that just yet. But I'd give it a solid 8.5 to 9 out of 10 because almost every single player has had an impact on the level that we would have possibly kind of expected. Maybe bar Benjamin Sesko, even though of late he's been very very good. I say all of our signings have been hits so far. Again, a lot can happen. It's just one
yeah,
season. Again, you'd have to wait and see what happens next season. And obviously, the rest of the team's playing well. Casemiro playing for probably a new contract for a different club,
yeah.
and Bruno Fernandes,
Trophy.
top assister, maybe not performing well of late, and Kobe Manu coming back into the midfield. And those three in the midfield are very very important to us, and I feel like it works very very nicely.
Yeah.
Um, any thoughts on United for yourself?
Yeah, I think you make the good point of the fact that there is no European football, there's no cup football for Man United anymore this season, so they just have full focus on the league, which is a bit of an advantage. Obviously, we know United, they do always usually, they've even when they're not playing at their best, they still win trophies under Ten Hag. They won 2 trophies, and even in previous seasons. But look, the most important thing is Champions League football for them now. And the fact that they don't have anything else to focus on but the Premier League, I think, they got the biggest advantage out of the teams fighting for Champions League football. Just to go back on the point, to be fair with Villa, they do have Europa League, and I think their full focus will be there. So talking
Yeah,
about focus, I think Villa's focus is probably going to be on the Europa League, not only just because they need to win a trophy. That's so big for a team like Villa because they haven't won a trophy in so long, and it would be a massive boost of morale to the team, to the fans, to the club, the money, everything, everything. It's more important, I think, for them than to finish in the top four.
and
If
of
I'm being
course, Unai
honest.
Emery is the Europa League merchant. So
Also, I mean, they get Champions League football through that
of
anyway.
course,
So,
yeah. But
you know
again,
what I
I
mean.
think there's a fact that like
You get more
Unai
money.
Emery
Yeah,
wins the Europa League with all teams that have Villa in the name. Villarreal,
crazy.
Sevilla, or Sevilla, as Spanish people say, but Sevilla. And
Crazy. That's
yeah,
crazy to think about it like that.
yeah.
But no, in terms of, Man United, I do think they are the favourites for Champions League football, and it'd be very honestly, I think it'd be like a bad season if
Do you
they
think they
don't
can
get.
finish third?
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
think they can.
So
Yeah,
do
it's
you
just the
think?
way
But
they're
do you
playing.
think like what I'm saying is, are they the favourites to finish? Oh,
I
since you
I
think they're the
think they are the finish.
favourites,
I think they are the favourites to finish third because, like you say, Villa's starting to drop off. Chelsea are dropping off. Liverpool are still shaky. And Man United are the only ones that look stable at the moment.
agreed. Yeah, fair enough. Which obviously was not the case under Ruben Amorim. Who knows what went wrong there? But Michael Carrick has come in and brought some stability, and I rate what he's done. Even now, we were discussing the fact that whether I'm Carrick in or not, obviously it's way better than what it was under Ruben Amorim. But I feel like from now to the end of the season, it's kind
Still
of
to be seen. Yeah.
it's still to be seen. We still have a couple of big
Jury's
games
still
left.
out.
We have to play
Yeah.
Villa, Liverpool, and Chelsea again. Now, those games are so important because, again, it's only 11 games left of the season for all these teams. So those games will be massive in this race. If United bottle those games, then again, you could see them not finishing in the top five. So you never know. Again, football's crazy,
Yeah.
but at the current moment, I would say Man United are the favourites.
Yeah, that's first.
But let's go on to the next team, the team in fifth place. It is Chelsea. Now, we wanted to discuss the fact that Chelsea currently they haven't picked up that many points, even though, to be fair, Liam Rossignol in the first couple of games was doing quite well. They're kind of bottling games, and it's not very good from their players. They've had that issue throughout the whole season with red cards. Do we think that Chelsea will fall short and maybe not achieve Champions League football?
Yeah, honestly, I do. And one thing I want to say, I know I'm going to bring it back to the thing is for Villa, luckily enough, they did have that 10-win streak, right? That's going to probably carry them enough to get Champions League football. And obviously, if they win the Europa League. Whereas with Chelsea, they don't look great at the moment. It's a massive shake-up when Rossini came in and Maresca left. Obviously, a lot of Chelsea fans weren't happy with that because Maresca is a very experienced manager and is a good manager and was doing well with Chelsea. But you got to give a bit of credit to Rossini. He's come in, he's done a good job in the first few games. Yeah, it's starting to slow down now, but I wouldn't blame that on Rossini. I'd blame that on a lot of the players. I mean, Cole Palmer has been awful, if I'm being honest, by his standards.
Yeah.
But the standards that we held him at when he first came into Chelsea after that first season, his standards were very high, and he has not hit those standards whatsoever since. Like, I understand that he has struggled with some injuries and he's still struggling with something now. But the level that he's at, there's chances he's missing that there's no excuse. It doesn't matter if he's, got these injuries. There's no excuse for some of the misses that he had, like especially against, was it against Burnley that he made that miss, or was it?
Yes. No, it was the game before, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was the game before that. But anyway,
yeah.
He even had a chance against Burnley and he missed it, like completely skied it.
Yeah.
So, he's just been not great. And considering he's that, like, special player for them, yeah, it's not ideal. To be honest, I haven't really seen much of Esteval since Rossini has come in as well.
I think he's been injured. He's not in the squad at the current moment. Again, Chelsea fans, let us know what is happening with Esteval. I'll be honest.
And let us know how you feel about your season, whether you think you'll get Champions League football. I do think you have a decent squad. The only place that lacks, and we've said it so many times, and I hate it, I have to keep talking about it, is the defense and the goalkeeper. Honestly, the goalkeeper I'm not as worried about anymore. It's more the defense because there's just no experience, and it's crazy to look the fact that Disasi has left, gone to West Ham. Someone that was out of favour at Chelsea, gone to West Ham, and look how great he's doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely, changed that West Ham defense. Bro, it was awful before he's come in. It genuinely gives us comfort now watching West Ham defend because of Disasi and how good he's been.
Yeah.
So you just think, how could it have gone all wrong at Chelsea for him? But maybe they just didn't give him enough chance. But I think Chelsea are going to fall short, if I'm being honest, with Champions League football.
I don't know about fall short just yet. I think both Liverpool and Chelsea look a bit shaky. They're not, getting convincing results / wins. Maybe Liverpool more so than Chelsea. I think Liverpool are able to get into a knack of getting wins on the bounce. So yeah, maybe you are right. Maybe Chelsea are the least favourite.
And the squad's much better.
And the squad, yeah, you're right,
balance,
is much better, more balanced. They have more quality players, more consistent players, more players that have done it at the high levels, more players that have won trophies. I can go on and on and on with the difference between Chelsea and Liverpool. And obviously they are the Premier League champions of the current moment, which obviously that probably won't last this season. I mean, they won't retain it, will they? So Chelsea, I don't see them doing very well from now to the end of the season. Like we say, they're still in the FA Cup, I believe. They still got the Champions League and obviously Premier League football as well on top of that. And they are picking up a lot of injuries too. and a lot of red cards.
Yeah,
So
that's a massive
losing players in your squad for whatever reason is not good, and it will affect the morale of the team. But yeah, let's go on to the final team that are in the race, and it is Liverpool. Now, we've discussed a couple things and the fact that it's been a massive fall off since last season.
Yeah.
And obviously they won the league quite convincingly. They looked very, very good. The team was working really, really well, and it was Klopp's team, if we're honest. They only bought Chiesa and Mamadashvili, who didn't really play. So it's one of those things where, like, the last season there wasn't much of a change in the team, and it was sort of full focus on the Premier League, and they won it last season. But this season, obviously, it's been a massive fall off. Do you look at that transfer window where they broke the transfer? I'm pretty sure they broke the transfer
twice. Yeah,
twice. The transfer record twice, but did they break the
Mm.
transfer window for most spent by a club in one summer? They might have. I think pretty sure they did actually.
Wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
Well, at least they spent
£400
£500 million in.
So yeah,
It's a lot of money.
yeah.
And let's be honest, I wouldn't say one of the players that they have signed, except for maybe Ekatike. Well, obviously Ekatike, being worth that price tag.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think Wirtz will eventually become worth his price tag next season.
But obviously, we're looking at this season.
Yeah, fair enough. But you're right. Yeah, this season, look, he's obviously getting better now. But like you say, the start of the season he had, to be fair, he never necessarily played bad, but it wasn't enough for what he was worth. Look, I remember before the season started, we reviewed the transfer window they had and thought, yeah, this is it. This is Liverpool's time of dominance. They're going to go on and dominate the Premier League for the next few years. And how wrong were we?
Yeah.
Look at it now. They've just look, they're not doing god awful. They're still in the top 4, top 5 race. It's still not awful, but from the fall off that they had, yeah, it's not ideal at all, and it's not great. Whether that's down to Slot, because he's definitely chopped and changed the team a lot, especially at the start of the season, and I think he's trying to force He tried forcing the signings in straight away, instead of trying to embed in them and slowly bringing them in. He's really adamant on playing the full backs the way that he wanted, and it didn't work, if I'm being honest. And I remember when he finally reverted back to the team that he was used to playing with last season, he started to find a bit more success.
I think a massive player they lost is Trent.
Yeah, obviously.
He's a massive player.
Yeah.
But let's go on to the question I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Do you think if Liverpool don't get Champions League football, Slot should be sacked?
Great question.
I'll be honest, it's kind of bold. It is a bit bold. I'm going to go bold, but yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I think he will get sacked. I do.
Okay.
Not do I think he should, but I think he will. A lot of the fans, there's been outrage throughout the season. Yeah, it's starting to simmer down now. But look, bro, with a team like that, a squad like that, obviously you got to do better. And I feel like you say, last season, I think the reason it was so easy for him to win the league was because it wasn't necessarily his team. He didn't have to change a lot. Sorry. Do I also think it's been a bit of a disadvantage, the transfer window he's had?
Maybe.
Honestly, yeah.
Got a lot of pressure.
Because with the money they're spending on these players, he's kind of forced to have to play these players. And like I said, it was the problem he was having is the fact that he was forcing these players straight into the team. It changed the dynamic completely, the way they were playing. And yeah, so it was a completely different style of play, which the players aren't used to. And yeah, and even then, even the defenders that fell off, like Van Dijk and Kanate, that's not necessarily his fault. What's he meant to do about that? The fall off of them players is, it needs to be studied, bro, because that's not necessarily to do with the way they were playing. That's just on them. And same with Salah, he's fallen off completely, right? And yeah, there's a lot of factors to why Liverpool haven't been that successful this season. And I don't know if Slot is necessarily the reason for it, but I think from what I'm hearing with the fans and honestly the way Liverpool, how good Liverpool are, I could see him getting sacked if they don't get it, to be honest.
Yeah, like you say, do you put much of the fault on Slot or maybe some of the players? You have a lot of experienced players in that club. Obviously, the majority of them won the Premier League last season.
Yeah.
I mean, even Florian Wirtz, he went on almost won every single game in a season with Leverkusen, I mean, Isak's got Premier League experience. Obviously, he's kind of been unlucky with that injury.
Yeah.
And even Frimpong was a part of that Leverkusen team. Kirkez is a decent player. They've made a lot of signings, and obviously Ekatike, I don't want to mention him because obviously he's been Liverpool's best player this season, if we're honest.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I think the players have let him down. Maybe not the new signings. I feel like you can cut them a bit of slack. Obviously, maybe the ones with the higher price tag like Isak and Wirtz, that they will have a lot more pressure than the other two
Yeah.
fullbacks. Um, you got to look at it in the sense that Liverpool are a club that have just come off the back of the Premier League. Now they were expecting to go on and try and do the double, maybe the treble, and push forward. And obviously with the backing that Liverpool's board did, I think maybe sometimes there is such a thing as spending too much money.
Less is
Um,
more sometimes.
Less is more sometimes, like you say. Obviously not nothing, because obviously that doesn't help. Even though the squad is great,
But they
but
just need to bring in just a couple of players. They shouldn't have
exactly, I
brought
feel
in
like
all those
they've done
players with
too
all that
much.
money and all that pressure on those players to
Agreed.
perform.
And I think the massive losses are, and
May
maybe
rest
maybe
in
live.
peace.
Oh yeah, definitely. Diogo Jota, may he rest in peace. He's a massive player. He was clutching some big moments for Liverpool, and obviously, it's very sad. And even
Awesome.
that could be a reason why maybe the Liverpool players kind of fallen off, and maybe their mentality. You never know, because
It's not easy.
personally, after being someone who had lost someone very close to me, it was a colleague of mine. It's not easy to go to work when they're not there, and because they bring a different vibe and they make a different vibe, and that's what it sounded like with Diogo Jota as well. So may he rest in peace. Um, and also the thing with Trent Alexander-Arnold being him moved on, a Liverpool guy, and the way the fans kind of turned on him at the end,
Yeah.
is quite sad to see, because even at Real Madrid he's had a few injuries, so he hasn't done enough, but in the games he's played, I think he's shown what he's about, and obviously we know how good his passing range is and how important he is in
Yeah.
that side of the game. But me personally, I think Slot getting sacked is a bit premature. I'd give him one more season, because I think that Premier League season to begin with does give you enough in the bag for you to get at least one more season. Obviously, it depends on how they do at the beginning of that season. I feel like that will be the point where they start judging Slot. They don't want to have another season going in the bin. So yeah, that's my opinion. And whether they get Champions League football or not, I think they have enough players to clutch up. So I feel like, maybe the Chelsea will be the ones that fall short. So in my opinion, I think the top four, or the top top five will probably be United third, Villa fourth, and Liverpool fifth. And then obviously Chelsea won't be in there. I don't know about you, Al.
I agree. I think that's perfect. I go the same.
So
same exact order.
And I mean, that's it, to be honest. We could discuss maybe other clubs, but let's be honest, those are the four clubs that are really in contention. And obviously, Man City and Arsenal, they're in the title race, and they're definitely going to get Champions League football, no matter what. So, yeah, that's why we've done the Champions League video today, and that's all good. Before we end the video, we're going to show you our predictions. We decided to change it up a little bit, maybe not read them out because it's a bit repetitive. Again, leave your predictions in the comments below on the weekend. Do you think your team will win? Do you agree with our predictions? Let us know. But before we end the video, Al, can you give us the quiz, please?
Of course I can. So, let's start with the first fact. He scored on his Premier League debut after coming on as a substitute in the final minute of the match. The second fact, he is one of the few African players to score over 90 Premier League goals.
Mm-hmm.
The third fact, he once scored 4 goals in a single Premier League match for Portsmouth against Middlesbrough in 2004. The fourth fact, he missed a famously open goal at the 2010 World Cup while representing Nigeria, a moment that became heavily replayed. And for the fifth and the final fact, this Nigerian striker played for Portsmouth, Middlesbrough, Everton and Blackburn during his Premier League career. So let us know if you know who that is in the comments down below, and of course at the start of the next video, we will reveal it.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Al. Again, thank you very much, guys, for coming in and being a part of the community. We're growing as a community, and also we wanted to thank you for actually finally hitting 10K likes on the account on TikTok. The start of something. To be fair, even that number is kind of crazy at the moment. Hopefully, we can reach bigger and better things to come soon. And obviously, I feel like we discussed, me and Ali and Hassan, how we're gonna increase the content for the coming weeks and months. So hopefully you guys can stay tuned for that. But from us, that is it. Please leave a like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified when we upload videos, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Take care.